Okay, mom.
What's up, yo?
Hello, everyone.
Yo, मेरी थोड़ी सी आवाज ना बैठी हुई है आज.
You've been saying that for the last 6 months.
Do you know how many people are commenting under our videos being like, Aruj, do like hot water gargles and like
do the
Haldi do ginger teas. Guys, I've tried everything, man.
Oh my gosh.
Tried everything. So we're just letting it run its course for like 6 months. Anyways, you guys, you know what would really make me feel better though? Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please. Let's get those numbers up. Why are we being stagnant right now?
I know.
I don't like it.
We're at like 14K. Our goal is 20. I know you can get us there.
25.
Oh, 25.
Let's get to 25. Come on.
I know you guys can get us there. Please help your sisters out.
Yes. Just share the link. Just, we know you guys watch YouTube consistently. Just get everybody to subscribe. Make sure you are giving us those 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those numbers mean the world to us. Make sure you are following us on TikTok and Instagram because that's where we ask our question of the week. And y'all know we are on Patreon. Okay, so scoot on over there.
Scoot.
Get those special episodes every Monday at 7 a.m. to get a little bit of that extra Okay Mom. I swear, y'all, it's like less than a latte at Matari. It's like 3 lattes.
It literally is. Or
No.
Jubble.
Yeah, Jubble.
Jubble is like
Coffee house?
$15. Everybody
bucks?
calm down. Okay?
Guys, this is $5 a month.
You guys, if you're going to go there, come to my house. I swear I will import that matcha from Japan. Okay? I'll make it for y'all in less than that.
Yo, and just give us a humble $5 a month.
That's it.
A month, man. You guys are spending $15 in 5 minutes.
$5 if they're Canadian, but if they were US,
Yo, it's like $3 for you guys. Let's go.
come on.
Guys, we asked a question. It's a bit of a different topic this time around.
Yes.
And I feel like it was a very important one because we've all felt it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been feeling it from the jump. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to ask you guys to share your brown girl and boy guilt. You guys gave some great responses.
Oh man. And I feel like everything that I read, it was like, oh, me too. Yeah, me too. Me 3. Me 4.
The most relatable.
Oh God.
Yo, did
so
you read
relatable.
this?
Yeah, I did. What do you think I did in circle? Some of you guys use that question box and throw in some negativity.
jabs, yo.
Okay?
Why are we below the belt right now?
Yeah,
Let's
why
not.
are we aiming below the belt? Like, jeez.
All right, what do you got for us?
The first one. Staying away from toxic cousins, but also feeling guilty for avoiding them.
This cousin relationship, this cousin dynamic, it's like, you don't want to be a part of them. You know they're snitches.
Yeah.
Okay? They're telling your parents everything.
Oh, yeah.
They're telling their own parents everything. They're telling all the other cousins everything.
Yep.
And then what? You have to show up to the iftar?
You have to go. Or your parents, if you even tell your parents and you're like, Mom, like, do you not see what they're saying about your daughters or your sons? This is what this person said. This is what this person said. This is what this person said. And your parents are like, Beta, I understand, but they're your family, and we
Can't
should
cut those
learn to
ties.
forgive people. They throw in that, and they're not wrong.
Yeah.
But kitni main maafiyan karu, honestly.
मैं क्यों हमेशा करूं? Why isn't somebody else doing it?
You know what I think that does though? It's like you keep on forgiving, and for them, they just think, oh, well, that means I can continue doing the same behavior,
100%,
repeating the
100%.
same behavior. Then you're stuck in this loop of pagalpan. Honestly, you're sitting there like,
But then you don't know how to tell them to stop that behavior.
yeah, because you're like, if I call them out, right? If I just say it straight up, watch the drama that unfolds. Then it's like, you're so buttameez. You can't hold anything back. Your parents didn't raise you right. Why are you starting a war for no reason? This is going to cause external family problems.
Yo.
Sometimes you just have to ignore, stay quiet, kill them with kindness. You don't have any, तुम्हें क्या ज़रूरत है कि तुम वापस उनको कुछ कहो? Why do you bother?
And it's like, yeah, but they're literally walking all over me. Telling my secrets to everyone?
Yeah.
Exposing my Instagram?
Oh my God. But you know the worst part is, girl? The worst part is when they say stuff about your parents, okay? And then you're telling your parents, like, Mom, this person said this about you. This person said this about dad. And then your mom's just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We are not going to be like them. We're going to be better people. And it's like, I am trying to be better by cutting them off.
Seriously. Okay, but then let's say you decide, okay, there's a cousin gathering, okay? There's a big dinner happening. And you're like, you know what? I'm not going to go. I'm gonna stay home, okay? And then you like somehow weasel your way out of it. You tell your mom, oh, I got a big assignment or something, okay? And then you don't go. Then you're sitting at home and you feel guilty because you're
guilty.
You know what sometimes these cousins do? John Butke, they're posting on their snaps. They're posting on their stories. They're posting everywhere being like, oh, cousin, go out. Oh, all of a sudden we're going for ice cap runs. All of a sudden we're going to Jubble Coffee House. We're binge watching OK Mom without you. Ha ha.
Hee hee.
And now you're sitting there feeling guilty like, damn, I should have just gone.
Okay, but you know what the craziest part is? When you see the one set of cousins that talk shit about the other set of cousins.
And now they're
all of a
besties.
sudden they're best friends.
Yeah, now they're Miss
And you're
Westie.
sitting there like, do you know what this one has said about you? Because I swear to God, last time I met her, she was saying bare guns about you. I'm not even joking. And now all of a sudden you're best friends. So there's no way that she told you what she said. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
It's so
'cause there's always that one person in a cousin group that has to just
dilimar.
but also like reign supreme of all cousins.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm top tier. I am the
mom.
cousin.
Cousin Amma or Abba.
Yeah, it's usually an amma.
And you know, I'm telling you, and sometimes their parents are also so unhinged and they're like so intrusive and they feel like they have to just say certain things to you. So if you didn't show up at the cousin get together, the next time they see you, girl, you think they're not going to call you out?
Oh, they're calling you out.
They're gonna be like,
calling you out.
Oh, अरूज की शक्ल कैसे आज नजर आ गई है?
आज तो ईद का चांद आया है मेरे घर.
The way I hate that stuff, I can't even handle it. And
आज
then
तो
what
मैं
do you do?
बहुत कुछ स्पेशल मीठा बनाऊंगी कि हिना आई है आज मेरे घर.
Oh
चलो
my.
चलो कोई फूल फेंकते हैं इसके ऊपर.
आज तो स्पेशल मौका है, बहुत स्पेशल मौका है. And I'm just sitting there like, my mom and dad dragged me here. I didn't want to go.
Or you're just like, oh man, you know that when they even say things like, oh मैं तो कुछ स्पेशल कपड़े पहन के आती हूँ आज तो हिना मेरे घर.
Why do they do that? Why do they do these things?
Because they just like to.
So let's say you do experience something like this,
Okay.
right? Where you're like, okay, I know these cousins of mine. I don't really like to get too close with them because maybe they ask me too many personal questions, or I just feel like they're extremely gossipy and I don't really want to be around them for whatever reason it is.
Okay.
What can you do though? Like, what is the solution to the problem?
I feel like when you're younger, you can't do anything. You're roped into it. And then
this
when
age.
at this age, I feel like then you can definitely just not show up, not be around that.
But do you think it's important to have the conversation with them?
Yo, it depends on the person because a lot of people don't take feedback like that well.
That's so true.
That's my issue. Like, let's say it's you and me.
Yeah.
And I'm the gossip person. And
Aye.
I'm just like
Aye.
always talking about all these things or whatever. And you're just like, okay, Aruj, this is too much. Like, I don't want to be around this right now. I'm probably gonna play the victim.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be like, oh, you can't come in here. Like, I'm not gonna let you say that to me.
Yeah, because you know what? I would be the type. Okay, so this is the problem I see with this though, okay?
Okay.
You know when you don't say anything,
Okay.
it like builds up and up and up. And then when someone calls you out, there's moments where you can't even control it. And then you're just so irritated that it just comes out in the worst way possible. And it's almost like you're about to start a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like you chose fighting words, even though if you were like more calm about it, you probably would have said something in a more sly way, but they would get the point. So I think there's like good and bad to it because now I'm at a point where I'm like, if this ever happened to me and I was in a position where I didn't like certain cousins of mine because they had said certain things
Okay.
or they had disrespected my family for whatever reason, how would I approach it? A part of me is like, honestly, just to save face and like not cause drama for my like mom or dad, I wouldn't say anything, right? But then the me today is also like, this is unhealthy behavior.
It is.
I should be saying something. I should be saying, hey, listen, I need to pull you to the side and talk to you. But you're so right. Because I feel like they would 2,000% pull the victim mentality. Oh, she came to my face. She was so rude to me. She said this. She said this. She said this.
And also, never forget this, but there's always going to be their version of the story. Okay? So their version of the story is going to be like, oh, but you never showed up to this. Oh, you're never there for our family. Oh, when a third cousin was going through something, you weren't there for them.
Yeah.
When it was her wedding, you didn't even show up. You weren't even part of the entrance.
Oh my God. And they could also do one of these things where like let's say it's a girl cousin. You as a girl are talking to your girl cousin and you're setting the boundary. You're saying, listen, I didn't appreciate that you said that. I know you said it, right? It was really rude. And, you know, I really hope that we could have had a better relationship. But because of such and such thing, I just feel like you're making this relationship really unhealthy. And then she goes to her mom and is crying and she's saying, oh my God, Aruj, she was so rude. She was saying this to me in such a rude way. And you could have just been saying it the way that I said it.
Exactly.
Right? But then the mom calls your mom Okay. And you know how our moms are. They are not the muh tod jawab moms.
Nahi, nahi.
They're the moms like, main Aruj se baat karungi.
हाँ. And then
100%.
they take all the heat too.
They take all the heat. And they're just like, nahi, nahi. And then when her mom is saying to your mom, वैसे आपका नहीं ख्याल कि उसने थोड़ा सा, rudely बात किया मेरी बेटी. And then ये गलत बात है. And then our moms would probably be like, हाँ, वैसे गलत बात तो है. And you're sitting there like, woman.
Yeah, and also sometimes those aunties will be like, they'll call your mom and be like, ये तो बदतमीजी है, आपने इसको कुछ समझाया नहीं है, हमारे खानदान में हम ऐसे नहीं बात करते, हम तो बड़े हैं. Then the conversation also gets blamed on your mom and you.
So it's like the moms have guilt and then you have the double guilt.
Yes.
But I still feel like you need to say it.
I feel like you should say it so that you can feel like you finally got it off your chest, because the last thing you want is the buildup. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, every family, every cousin, every relationship is so different that a lot of the times we will just let it slide, because the last thing you want to do is start that kind of family drama.
I know, but for me, you're so right, because I would have the same mentality, but I still think that if we don't do that stuff, then our kids are going to follow in the same steps.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't want that for my daughter or my son to feel like, oh, my mom is never going to take my side. And if someone is disrespectful to me, then it's okay. We can just allow it.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to like, because then I think it's more hard because, your parents take the heat. Like, I think we're strong enough to be like, I'll take the heat. Bring it. I'll take the heat.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I can take the heat. I'll
Right.
take it.
Right.
But a part of me is also still has that mentality of like people pleaser. It really
100%,
does.
yeah.
Where as much as I will say that I'll take the heat, but then I'll also feel guilty after too.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say it and then I'll feel guilty for saying it.
Yeah.
And then if someone says something to me, I'll say something back, but then I'll also reflect and be like, oh, maybe I should have just not said anything. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But you know what else is a big thing here? With us, I feel like the problem with our people, the problem I'm facing, okay, in this time of my life is that I want to not be such a people pleaser, okay? So then initially when something happens, I'll say yes.
Yeah.
And then I try and backtrack. And then I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? And then I find myself caught in this weird where I'm like, Aruj, I wish you had just said no to begin with.
Yeah.
Because then I can take the heat. Okay. But then that conversation, it's done with and over
Yeah.
with. Now I'm not trying to retrace my steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is something that I think I'm trying to work on now. Where I'm like, okay, you know why they always say invite the pause?
Yeah. Invite the pause.
I need to invite the pause. I need to be like, hey, no worries. Let me get back to you. Okay. So that I'm not immediately committing to something that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if I feel like, hey, this is kind of cool. Yeah, I'm down with this. I can say yes later on. And if it's not, then I can be like, hey, it doesn't work for my schedule. Hey, I'm busy. Hey,
Yeah.
something. I'm working. I got this. I got the kids. Da da da. Whatever the case may be, I can weasel my way out of it. But I'm not out here just trying to like retrace my steps because I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, but then sometimes when someone, like, let's say someone calls you, right? And they're like, oh, I really need you to come here. I'm having an event and you need to be there. And you're on the phone and they say something like, oh, what are you doing? Maybe they start the conversation. What are you doing this Saturday? And you don't know what the conversation is going to lead up to.
That's true.
And you're actually not doing anything, right? So you're like, oh, okay, well, nothing. I'm just going to hang out at home. And they're like, well, I'm having a dinner at my house and you're invited. And you're like, I really don't want to go. But then what do you say? Because you've said you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're like, shoot.
You gotta be like, oh, let me just
Let me just verify the plan just came up.
check. Oh, this Saturday.
And then on Saturday, you're like, oh, my leg broke.
I broke my nose. I tripped and fell.
Like COVID. We all got COVID.
Trip and fall, slip and fall.
Like, you're sometimes put in situations where even if you want to say no,
Yeah.
you have a hard time saying no.
I know.
But I think we should normalize it and be able to be like, look, I love you, but I honestly just want to sit at home and do nothing. Like, let me take a break, please.
Yo, imagine though.
Oh.
Imagine somebody calls you and they're like, hey, let's get together for chai on Saturday, whatever. How are you going to be like, look, I love you, but I just want to sit on my couch? Imagine saying that.
I could say it to my friends, I think. But I could say it to my friends, like, Aruj, if you called me and you're like, yo, what are you doing on Saturday? And then I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm probably just going to relax at home. And then you're like, okay, there's this new restaurant and we actually no, but then I would want to go. I
Yeah,
would want to
that's-
go. But if I don't want to go,
Yeah.
actually I'm trying to be real brave right now and I don't think I am. It's all talk. It's all talk and it's talk is talk. But
Yeah.
then when you have to walk the walk,
Then you regret it.
then you're walking backwards.
Yo, there is no better feeling. There is no better feeling than when you didn't want to go somewhere, okay, but you committed and then that plan cancels.
Oh my
There's
God.
literally no better feeling.
Oh my God,
Because the
yeah.
way that I put my pajamas back on and sit on the couch,
Oh my God. It is a blessed moment.
I'm sitting there being like, I should give sadka right now. That's
Yo,
what this
for
feeling is.
real. But you know what? I actually do think that there's certain situations in my life where I think my mom knows this about me,
Yeah.
where she will say, "Oh, I'm having a dinner at my house.
Okay.
Are you going to come?" And I will say, "No." And she won't even ask me anymore. Like she won't be like, "Why? Just come. You'll have fun." She won't say it. Like I'll just be like, "No." And it's a no.
Yeah.
And I can do it with my mom because I think there's times that I've explained certain things to her and I've said, you know, like there's certain times where when someone has like disrespected you or something like that and you explain it to your parents over and over and over again, then they do kind of get the point. Too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they kind of get it. So then when you say no to your parents, it's easy because it's your parents.
Yeah.
But then when it's like an aunt or an uncle or like
Cousin, friend.
random relation.
Yeah.
And they start the questioning with, what are you doing this weekend? And you're stuck. So if someone ever asks you, what are you doing? And you're like, I don't know if I would ever want to do something with this person. Always be like, oh yeah, we have some plans.
Yeah.
Just
or
say
just,
that.
I'm actually not sure. I have to get back to you.
Oh yeah. But sometimes you're just like having a conversation and it's like jokey and they just slip it in.
Guys, the guilt is real. Whoever
girl
said
guilt.
this, the guilt is real.
Brown girl guilt. There you go.
Brown girl guilt.
Summed up in a little bow, packaged in a little bow. There you go.
Share your brown boy and girl guilt. Lying to my parents while I'm hanging out with my boyfriend.
Yep. Sometimes like lying to your parents about hanging out with your boyfriend, but then if you're Muslim, sometimes you'll have like it'll be bat baki. Things are solid, locked.
Yeah.
Even then you're lying.
Even then you're lying. Yeah,
Niqab's done. Even then you're lying.
Niqab yogi, even then you're lying.
But sometimes I feel like your parents will know and they'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
But then it's just to save face.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if, for example, there's a dinner happening at your house and you know your like relatives are coming over and you're like, I see y'all all the time. I'm gonna go hang out with Hubs. Okay. And then your parents are okay with it, or like hubby to be or whoever, and your parents are cool with it. Just to save face, you'll be like, I'm going out with my friend, because my mom's not going to be like, oh yeah, she went out with the guy that she's going to end up marrying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But also, I feel like, okay, let's say your nikah is done.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to go and see the person that you are now married to. Okay. You can't go out the next day again with them. Your mom's going to be like, itna nahi abhi dekhna.
Yeah, they would say that.
Yeah, 100%. That's their response.
Yeah.
Abhi nahi. You can wait a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it in your pants. And they'll just, yeah, and they'll just be like, nahi, nahi, itna nahi dekhna. Like, theek hai, nikah ho gaya, but it's fine. Once a week is okay.
Yeah.
Then what you gonna do? You
Then-
want to go to the movies.
And you know when you're like first in a relationship, you're just like, I want to see you every single day.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody else. I don't want to see my parents. I don't want to see my siblings. I don't want to see nothing. I just want to see your beautiful face.
Yes. That's the problem.
Then you gotta lie. Let's just say it for what it is.
I gotta stay late. I'm at the library.
Yeah, like
I have an assignment.
you know, that's sad because sometimes you'd be like, I'm at the library. It's 2 a.m. No library's even open, but you're at the library. Okay.
And your mom's like, मेरी बच्ची बहुत पढ़ती है, बहुत ध्यान दे रही है अपनी पढ़ाई में इस दफा, you know, focused.
And then your mom is telling this to your relatives, and your relatives are sitting there with a questioning look, like, what libraries? What libraries? And there's always one relative that needs to know everything. You know, they just need to know all the details.
yeah.
And then they rebuttal your mom, and they're like, "Baji, वैसे आजकल library तो इतनी late खुली नहीं होती." And then your mom's like, "नहीं नहीं, वो special library है, special उसके स्कूल में library है, वो library ना वो 24 hours खुली होती है."
Exam time है ना, उन्होंने अब 24 घंटे खोल दिया.
Like, yeah, it's so funny.
Oh my god, yo, I got a really good one. You ready?
Yeah.
This is the realest thing. When I'm busy and can't pick up my mom or dad's call, I feel like it's a sin that I'm committing. Tell me that isn't the realest thing somebody has sent on the show.
That's real.
The brown boy and girl guilt when your parents call and you're busy and you don't pick up.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
And then when you pick up, you gotta explain yourself.
Yeah, like, oh, mom, I was बैठी हुई थी सोफे पे.
मैं वॉशरूम में थी. I was just about to swipe. वो फिर मिस हो गया. बस मैं ऐसे स्वाइप कर रही थी तो वो मिस हो गया.
But it's the same guilt that you would feel if it was like an in-law calling you and you missed that call.
100%.
Right?
100%.
I would say you would feel like 4 times the guilt with that one than you would feel with your
Ooh,
parents.
4 times.
15,000
600 times. Sometimes you just be like, oh, मेरा Bluetooth नहीं connect हो रहा था.
Or like, oh,
Oh, there was a police officer. I couldn't touch
you're
my
like,
phone.
you called? I didn't even get the call.
मेरा silent था phone.
मेरा तो phone काम ही नहीं कर रहा.
मैंने phone bill नहीं दिया इस month. Then how are you calling me right now? Oh, I was paying my phone bill as you were calling me.
I can't. You do feel a lot of guilt when it comes to like
Yo.
parents in general because you're also just like, oh, they're calling, I should pick up. But then sometimes I don't know. Okay, so my mom, I don't talk to my mom every single day. I swear to God. I don't think I talk to anyone every single day.
Yeah.
Not even my sibling, not my mom, nobody, okay?
Not even myself.
I'm telling you. That's a fact. Okay, the only people I talk to every single day are my kids, okay?
Snack चाहिए?
Yeah. And so I think when my mom does call, it's even more guilt because you're like, oh my God, she doesn't really like call me that much. So when she does call, then it's like, you better be picking up, you know?
100%.
But now my mom's learned how to do voice notes. So she'll send me voice notes.
That's the cutest
which I'm
thing
like,
ever.
you upgraded.
Yo, that's
you
the cutest thing ever. What do you mean?
I love it.
that.
It's actually so cute. Yeah.
Oh, I talk to my mom multiple times a day. Yo.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
So do they.
Yeah, multiple times. But it's like a quick 5-minute, हाँ क्या कर रही हैं? Okay, mom, I'll call you back. All right, cool.
Yeah.
But yo, even then, if I don't pick up her phone,
Yeah.
even then, guys, if I don't pick up her phone, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta call her back. Oh my God, I call her. Like, I just feel like, oh, I don't know. It's just, it's, हाँ.
Yeah.
मुझे खुलबली मची हुई है कि मैंने phone नहीं उठाया time पे. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I also think sometimes if your parents call over and over again, the way that our moms are like, oh my God, something is wrong. She
Yeah.
got kidnapped. She dead. Like, it's like something happened that you're just like, then you pick up the phone. They're like, oh, शुक्र है तुमने phone उठा लिया.
किधर थी? मैं
मैं तो
जान पकड़ी हुई थी.
मेरी जान निकल गई थी. मैं तो दुआएं कर रही थी. It's so cute because you're like, oh my God, you care about me so much. But on the other side, you're like, do we gotta be like
This dramatic?
You're going from like she didn't pick up my phone call to okay, she's dead in a ditch. Okay,
She dead.
She dead. Okay. So yeah, that
Or my mom would be like, इतने घंटे हो गए किधर थी? I don't understand. Yo, sometimes I feel so guilty that like if my phone is like out of reach,
Yeah.
and my kids are around or like Farhan's around, I'll be like, yo, can you just pick up the call real quick?
just to tell her
Just
that
to tell
I'm
her that
okay.
like Aruj is washing the bartan as usual. मैं तो और क्या करती हूँ घर में? Aruj बर्तन धो रही है, उसके हाथ गीले हैं. She can't pick up the phone right now.
Oh my God.
That's how bad the guilt is.
Yo, for real.
This is where this hit home for me.
For her, it definitely
Yo,
did.
yo.
Brown girl and boy guilt. My brother and I went to eat with friends and I came home to see my parents eating alone. Yo, that's
Stop.
I'm feeling guilty. Or you know, like I don't know what it is. I don't think our parents really enjoy eating out that much. For them, it's more like we prefer ghar ka khana, okay? Which now I am 100% becoming that auntie. I'm becoming that auntie. Okay?
बन गई हूँ.
I am so that auntie. But then like when you were younger, you were so into eating out all the time. And then you would go out and then you're just like, oh, like I should get them something too.
Yeah.
But then you would bring it home and they'd be like, why are you bringing me this? I don't even want to eat this food.
मैं नहीं खाती ये घास
Or
फूस.
like you order pizza and they're just like, pata nahi kya gand bala and dala hua
Yeah.
pizza ke andar.
haram toppings.
Or whatever it is. They're just like, ghar ka khana aur acha hota hai. But then you also feel bad because you're like, I gotta ask you. Like, I want you to have some too. I don't
Oh
want
my
you
God,
to just
my
eat
heart
alone.
broke, man.
Yeah. It's also because like your parents get older and then you're just like, I don't know how much time I got left. You know what I mean?
And you just feel bad. You know what I remember we used to do? Sometimes we wouldn't do dinners out, and we would
Yeah.
have dinner like with mom and dad, or like with my mom mostly
Yeah.
because my dad would be working. And we just do like desserts and stuff out, or like coffee
that's
out.
cute.
कि चलो थोड़ा सा तो you spend time with them. then
Yeah,
you kinda
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
But even then, the guilt is still there.
Guilt is still there.
Because sometimes I'd be like, oh, then she's gonna watch the drama by herself. This is like, you know, you feel bad.
I know, yeah, you
I
actually do
feel
feel
so
bad. You know what the odd thing is though? I do feel like our parents are very resilient. Where they're like, it's sad, but I think they're very strong in the sense that like they're also able to do a lot by themselves at home. Like I don't know, I can speak for my mom and say like she's a very independent woman.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't always need you to be around, but you can always tell that like when you are there, they get very happy and excited.
100% they do,
Yeah.
man. You can see it on their face.
Sweet.
Oh man, that's a real guilt.
That's real.
Forgetting to take the chicken out when my mom said so.
Oh my God.
You're getting in trouble.
That's not guilt. That's death. Okay. Like, are you serious?
Itni dant padegi na, you're just be ready.
Oh.
That chappal's coming out.
Oh my God. Okay. I remember I would come home from school and like the chicken would be in the freezer and that would be my mom's only call. Hina, take the chicken out of the freezer. And I'd be like, acha main nikal dungi. Obviously, I was like watching TV. Okay. You're like 4 seasons deep into One Tree Hill. Okay. And you're at the good parts. And now all of a sudden the time has come. You hear the car door close outside. The way you're leaping, like
The way you're leaping couches,
oh my God. And then you're like, I'm dead because
hopping over your siblings and everything.
there's no way I can melt that chicken.
Should I throw it in the microwave?
If I put it in the micro, it's gonna half cook in the microwave.
Yo, salmonella galore.
And
You
the
get in
way
trouble,
your
man.
mom comes in and she looks at the chicken, she's gonna take that chicken and hurl it at your head. Okay, like, oh my God, I get scared of that yelling.
I get scared
That's
of
the
that
type of
too.
yelling that you're like. Then you go to the door and you open the door and you're like, "Assalamu alaikum," and then you're like, "मैं वो कोट ले लेती हूँ, मैं brush mop कर रही थी, मैं भूल गई थी." I was mopping the floor and I completely forgot.
Yeah, you're holding that broom in your hand to make it seem like that's your accessory.
Yeah.
And you're like, मैं सफाई कर रही थी, मैं भूल गई.
Oh my God, and your mom is like,
Mama, I was just gonna do the bartan too.
she's like, I gave you one damn job. Why are you so useless?
Been 2 hours. You're telling me you
Oh
didn't
my
take the chicken out?
God. You had one freaking job. I'm the one that's cooking all the damn food.
Seriously, all you had to do was take it out.
But
All you
she's
had to do was take it
now
out.
we're moms. So now it's like if I would be pissed too.
I would be pissed too.
Because then it's like, what do I eat for dinner?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we'd be like Uber Eats.
But still, man, who's paying all those fees right now? It's an arm and a leg to Uber something.
Facts.
Leaving my kids with my parents to have some me time.
Yeah. How many of y'all have gotten in trouble for that? Me.
The guilt. The way you're like, oh, I gotta go back. I can't leave them for too long at my mom's house.
Or like you're always checking your phone because you're like, if I even get one call,
One
you're-
WhatsApp message?
or you're calling them
Oh,
every
is
like
everything
30
okay?
minutes.
Oh my God, Hina.
Oh man. And you want to know the crazy thing? Okay, my mom could handle it. She can handle any situation. Okay, but my dad, he would always be like, "Why are you leaving your kids? Your kids need you." Okay, I get it. We're their grandparents, but like they need you. They don't need their grandparents.
100%.
And so you're just like, "Oh my God, okay, I'm coming back." Like there's been numerous times where I would have like left the dinner,
Yeah.
just to go home.
100% same.
It was just brutal.
Guys, I will like run errands and I will be faster than Flash running these errands because I feel so guilty for leaving the kids at my mom's or at my in-law, anywhere, anybody. Okay. Aside from leaving them at home, when like for Han's home, then I'm like, okay,
That's so different.
Then I'm like, oh, it's all good. They're in
That's
their
so
own
different.
home. You know, like
So
Baba's
different.
home. It's chill. Baba's got this.
Yeah.
But if it's anybody else, guys, I feel so guilty.
Yeah, but you know, there's also other husbands that like, if you have a chill husband
Yeah.
who's like hands on, that's like top tier husband.
That's
Okay,
goals,
it's top tier
man,
dad.
goals.
But then you have husbands that are like not the hands on husbands, and they're very like, oh my God, when are you gonna come back? Oh my God, I need help with this. Oh my God, how do you change a diaper? Oh my God, how do you hold a baby? Like
You
those
feel
types
the
of husbands.
same guilt with them.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh my God, I can't stay out
Yeah.
too long. I got to go back home, and you don't even enjoy your night out.
Yeah. You'll give your baby a bath, okay? You'll feed them both sides or you'll give them the formula bottle. They're happy, okay? You burp them, tummy full, everything is great. It's time for their nap. And you plan this lunch or this brunch according to this nap, okay? You put the baby down and you're like, yo, I'm free. I'm going to leave, okay? But the way that you are just checking in like, hey, is he awake? Should I come now? Should I come now? Should I come now? Should I come now? Because you feel like maybe your partner or your husband or whoever is taking care of that baby, it's just, you have so much guilt sitting there having your eggs Benedict that you're like, I think I should just leave all this and go. Then you get a call. Then you get the call. And you're like, I gotta go, guys, I gotta go. And your friends are like, it's okay, it's just a call. Like, yes, your baby woke up, but it's okay. Like, your husband can take care of him. It's fine. Or your husband can take care of your daughter. It's fine. Like, let it be, let it be.
Yeah.
Your friends are trying to like bring you down, okay?
Yeah,
Bring
yeah,
your anxiety down. And you're just like, it's building up, it's building up. And then your husband's like, when are you coming home? The way that you get in that car, Sometimes you'll look over at a friend and be like, hey, can you just pay and I'll e-transfer you? I really gotta go.
Legit. But you know what would happen to me in that situation? If a situation like that happened and I dropped my kids out to my mom, I know my mom, she has it on lock, okay? But if I was in a situation where someone put me through that, especially when like, guys, if you're mothers, you have to also, you know how it is, okay? As a mother, making time for yourself is so hard sometimes, right? So like especially when the kids are small and they're little babies, sometimes you need that night out so bad because that night out will keep you sane for the rest of the week. Okay.
Seriously.
So like in a situation like that, when you've done everything,
Yeah,
and you've left and you're like, I have crossed all T's, okay, dotted all I's, okay, before I left. Everything is organized. So even if the baby does wake up, there's a contingency plan in place. Okay. Emergency plan has been set. Okay. Now, if I got that call, I would actually be really upset.
yeah.
Because for me, it's like, you know how badly I need this night. And you couldn't hold it down for one night, especially if the call is like, hey, he won't stop crying. What do I do? I would be like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hold the baby, watch a TV show, walk around, bounce the baby. There's a billion things you
Do
could
the
do.
figure eight.
Yeah.
Figure eight thing.
Like, watch a YouTube video on how to stop the baby from crying. This is ridiculous because you know if you're going to call me, I'm going to have major anxiety, like most moms do.
100%.
Most moms are like, oh my God, only I can soothe the baby.
Yeah.
I know what the baby needs. And yeah, the baby does need you. But like, as a dad, y'all, come on, hold it down for an hour or two.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
But can I be honest? You're so vulnerable at that time that it is really up to your husband or your partner in that moment to not call you and make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Or be like, yo, the baby's crying. I don't know what to do. Like, husbands, try and really do everything you can before making that call because she's already feeling so guilty.
Thank you.
She has so much anxiety and she feels so bad for even deciding to go out anyways. But she's out. She did it. She made it. Okay. She needs this. And when you call and you make her feel bad, she's just going to be like, man, I shouldn't have come out in the first place.
facts.
And now she feels terrible. And she's going to think twice before even wanting to go out again.
Yeah.
And that's a terrible feeling because you know what? These are those signs, those postpartum signs that husbands need to look out for and be there. This is what husbands can do. Okay. Maybe you can't always help out with the night feeds. Okay. Maybe you can't always get up in the morning. Maybe you can't always give her a break. This is your chance to shine.
Shine bright like a diamond. Boy.
Seriously. And give her the space to be like, okay, I can do this. He's got my back. My friends are here. Let me try and get out of this really terrible postpartum depression that I'm experiencing and let my friends help me come out of this.
Yeah, because once you get into that hamster wheel of the anxiety, right? Once someone makes that call to you, you already kind of added to the anxiety. So like maybe next time it'll just be like, well, what's the point of going? I'm just going to get a call in like a few hours anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll just stay home. It's fine. Like this is just the phase of life that I'm in.
Yeah.
The phase of life that I'm in, talk that you do with yourself, like, oh, well, I guess my life is over. I used to do that all the time where like I would have so much anxiety leaving my child. Okay. It would be like, only I can take care of the child. Only I know what's good for the child. And then I would just constantly be holding her because I just felt like I had to prove my independence that I could do it and I didn't need help from anybody else. Okay. And then B, it was just like, no, like now that I'm a mom, it's not about me at all. Forget me. It's all about my kid and no one else is going to be able to do this other than me. Okay. And the way that eats you alive, like, first of all, you've lost your body, okay? You've lost your
Damag.
You've lost your damag, okay? You've lost all autonomy because now it's not about you. It's all about this baby, okay? The baby is sucking you dry, okay? Literally, figuratively, everythingly, okay?
Emotionally.
Like emotionally, all of it, okay? And then when you finally have this one moment to get a refresh, and then you have to go back in the lion's den, you are just like, oh my goodness, I have never felt so drained. I know if I put myself in that situation, I would go home feeling so defeated. And then I would pick up the baby and I would just be sitting there like a zombie. Like I would just be like, oh my God, I'm never going to get like my life back.
Exactly. And you guys want to know something? This is the realest thing. It's not only a few months after the baby is born. This can last for years.
Yeah.
This can last for years.
Yeah.
Okay. It can take it takes such a toll on women. We never talk about it. Okay. You think, oh, it's baby blues. Oh, it's just a different phase in your life. You'll get used to this new normal. Okay. But let me tell you, there are women who won't get out of it for 5, 6, 7 years after having kids. Okay. And they'll just be turned off by all of it. And then they'll lose connection with their friends, with the work that they used to do, with the things that used to spark passion in them. And they're sitting there being like, I don't even recognize who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And if you cut all ties with friends,
Yeah.
how do you plan to rekindle that friendship 6, 7 years later?
Yeah.
Everyone's moved on. It's a different world now.
Yeah.
How are you planning to get back into the work field when you haven't worked for that many years because you dedicated everything to your kids? The job market changes every few months. You think they're going to keep up with you for 7 years?
Yeah.
You think they're going to hold a spot for you? It's so hard. The transitions are so hard that it's really important to take that time out for yourself. But the guilt is so real.
Yeah, the guilt is so real. And I also feel like with friend groups, like your friends will be supportive, but if you're not even like there to like tell them what's going on, or they've reached out and you're just not giving them anything, then I think eventually even your friendships start to like taper away.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then you're kind of sitting there in even more loneliness. And I feel like at that time in your life, you need friends.
100%.
Because you know what? Your mom, your family's gonna be like, "Is tarah na karo baby ke saath, is tarah karo, do this, do that with the baby. No, don't wrap her like this, wrap her like." They're gonna throw all the freaking like advice pieces at you. But you know when your friends are in that same age bracket and you have friends that have kids, it's like a collective trauma. Okay?
Facts.
You're all gonna sit there with your cup of cha, cry about it together.
Facts.
Okay? And then you're also gonna laugh cry about it.
Yeah.
And the laugh cry is what you need.
That's how you bond.
That's how you heal. Yeah, that's how you heal.
That's
like,
how you
I'm not
heal.
the only one going through this.
Seriously.
It's not just me suffering.
And you know what transforms your friendships?
I think so too.
You go from being, it's like when all of your friends get married around the same time.
Yeah.
You go from being like, hey, we were all these just like singing single girls living with our moms, having different kind of brown girl guilt, to now we are married and now we experience different kind of brown. Now we have kids and now we're like, you're elevating your friendships.
I think so. Yeah. Married, but feeling like I don't do enough for either family. Someone always loses.
And this is what I was going to say. Speaking of the fact that when you get married, okay, remember how, was it last episode or an episode before that? We were talking about how different Ramadan feels after you get married.
Yeah.
How different your sehri looks, how different your iftars look.
I'd say any celebration. You know what I
Anything,
mean?
man.
Like any celebration that you're doing when you first get married.
Yeah.
It's just like lonelier.
It's so lonely.
You know?
And now you feel like, piggybacking on that one,
Yeah.
not feeling like you're doing enough for either family. Somebody said, not doing enough for your parents because I'm living with my in-laws. I know what my mother-in-law and father-in-law like, but I don't really remember what my parents like.
Well, that's a big one.
That's
guys.
a big brown boy and girl guilt.
And honestly, I don't think that guys ever have to feel this way. I'm going to be...
Because we take it upon ourselves.
Yeah, but it's also taught to us to feel like this. That like once you leave our house, you know, like you're going to do whatever is in your power to make that relationship work.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that you are going above and beyond, bending over backwards for that family.
You also, okay, let's say you ended up moving with your in-laws, okay? You spent 26 years, 27 years, 28 years living with your parents, okay? Because you didn't move out. You lived with your parents. Cool, no problem. And then all of a sudden you're 28 and you get married. Okay. So you're really established in your career. You're well done, whatever. But then you had to realize that you had to live with your in-laws.
Yeah.
Okay. You go and live with your in-laws. Everything's fine. There's no toxicity in the relationship. You guys have a great relationship. You guys have set healthy boundaries. You're working.
Yeah.
It's great. However, you are also feeling brown girl guilt because you're spending so much time with your in-laws now.
Yeah.
And that time was spent with your parents first. Right. So now all of a sudden, let's say your mother-in-law is like, hey, let's go to Matari. Right? You just get in the car, you go to Ridgeway, you go to Matari, and your mom calls.
Yeah.
And then you have to pick up the phone and your mom's like, where are you at? You're like, oh, I brought so-and-so out. And you're like, your mom's like, so-and-so? Who's so-and-so? I'm like, I brought auntie out.
Yeah.
I brought, because you don't want to say mom.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, she's standing right here. I got to say
Yeah.
mom. What do I say? And now you're like, I'm talking to my mom on the phone.
Yeah.
And I can't tell her that I'm with whatever, let's say a mom, whatever you're gonna call your mother-in-law, okay?
Yeah.
So I say auntie, but now you're also feeling guilt that she's right there and she's like, oh, your mother-in-law's like, oh my gosh, she called me auntie.
Call me auntie.
I'm not auntie.
I thought I was mom.
Okay. And now your mom is like, oh, we used to do that. We used to just get in the car and go to Matari. And now she's doing that with somebody else.
Why am I so sad?
That makes me so sad.
It does, but you know what? This is why I always feel so sad for girls, because I think like we have to do so much and we also have to give up so much, right?
Yeah.
And like as much as you want to, guys, it's the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth, okay? As women, the sacrifices that we have to make, those are sacrifices, especially when it comes to like marriage.
Yeah.
Like the things that we have to leave behind are things that men don't have to do. And this is the reality of things.
Yep.
You know, when you have your doli or your ruksati, right? Why do you think it's so hard for the girl side of the family? Because it's like this literal change that you are leaving your parents forever. You know, when you have a daughter, internally as a mother, you always know that she's not going to be with me forever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, eventually she's going to go. And then the worry is always, as a mother, you're like, will people treat my daughter right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a guilt as a mother that you feel if you ever find out that like your daughter's in a horrible situation, right? But then you're also scared because you don't know what type of situation will happen, because nobody knows who the hell they're going to get married to, right? And then you do have all these memories with your kids that you would do certain things together, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be something small, like before Eid, we would get juriyan together to like wear on. It will be like choti si cheez, at the end of like that little traditions that you had. And you know, as a mom, that like that's going to change. Yeah. So like this Matari thing, it's like, as a mother, you'll wear moms. It's so heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking.
Because you're like, I know that like it will never be the same again.
You know what else is different? As girls, we just care differently with our parents.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, sometimes you feel bad because you're like, you want to show that same love and care to your in-laws. Okay. You want to. You were raised that way. You were raised right. Okay. But then you're just like, you feel guilty because you're like, is anybody caring for my parents this way now?
Yeah. And what if
Because
you don't
I'm-
have any other like
Yeah.
a
What
brother?
if? Or what if you're the youngest?
Yeah.
And you've left now. Yeah. You're the youngest and you've left, and now it's just your parents at home.
Yeah.
And you're like, how much can I check in with them? I can't do it the way I used to do it before, because before I would just come downstairs and I'd just be like, yo, what's up? Let's go to Subway. Let's go get pizza. Let's do this, whatever. You knew when they needed to get out of the house. You knew when they needed something. You were the one that they'd be like, hey, I need a Costco run. Can you take me? Yeah. And now you're feeling all this guilt because you're like, I was the youngest. I took care of them. I knew the ins and outs of how they were feeling. I knew when my parents got in a fight. Right? And I'd go over to my dad and I'd cheer him up, and I'd go over to my mom and I'd watch a Hum TV drama with her, and it's all bless. Right? But now I'm not there. I'm the youngest. I got married. I moved out.
And you know, sometimes when you get married, you know, there's certain people that sent us things that, remember that there was someone that sent something in, and they said that my in-laws said, close that chapter with your parents because now it's a new chapter with your in-laws, right?
Yes.
Because she would want to go back home a lot.
Yeah.
And like when you are in a situation like that as a daughter, you know, okay, if you're a girl watching this, right? Majority of girls, right? They have really different relationships with their mom as long as it's healthy, right? And like you do know certain things about your mom.
Yeah.
At a certain age, you get to an age where you can talk to your mom about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can have a really fun relationship with her. It's such a nice feeling to have that. And then for you to get married and like someone to make you feel like you need to stop being that close because now you're in a different relationship and you have to change who you are because you have to be closer and on this side of things.
Yeah.
Bro.
And you know how long it takes to even form that relationship with someone?
Oh my, that takes decades.
Because it took so long for you to build that relationship with your mom.
But also your mom gave birth to you. Yeah. So there's always going to be a difference.
But you know when girls go through that age,
yeah,
right? You go through that like middle school, high school age where you're kind of like kitpit with your mom, right?
Yeah,
it's really
for
common.
sure.
It's very normal, okay? We're openly saying it right now.
Yeah.
But then you get over that and then you formulate this new mature relationship with your mom, okay? And you're just like, oh, I can, like, we see eye to eye on certain things. We can talk about those family members, okay? Now my mom understands why I'm not going to come see this cousin.
Yeah.
She respects my decisions. When I
sure.
say no, it's a no.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe she'll never be able to say no, but I say no.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're not passing this on. How do you expect me to overnight create that relationship with somebody else, with somebody who's a complete stranger? A complete stranger.
And you know there's going to be issues because it's a different family.
Yeah.
Different traditions,
and
cultures.
And mazak different. And
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm going to find something funny. You are going to be like, oh,
That's
was
but the
me?
me's.
रूज तो कुछ ज्यादा ही मुंह फटता है,
That's
नहीं?
true. That's so
कुछ
true.
ज्यादा ही बोलती है.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Right? Or if I'm like, oh, yo, I'm going to pursue this or I want to do this. And my parents are like, gung ho, yes, you do that.
Yeah.
But then somebody else on the other side of the family will be like, no, thank you. हम ये काम नहीं करते. You
I'm like,
हम ऐसे नहीं करते, okay? We don't do this. This is not
Yeah.
part of our family values. And I'm like, yeah, but it was a part of my family values.
yeah.
And now I got to change all that?
But that's the thing, man. Like, that's the hard part because when we were growing up, your parents are like, you have to like kind of go with whatever the in-laws say or
Yeah.
your husband or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You get married and then you're just like, I can't just cut that part of me out. I can't just cut out my arm and be like, half my heart gets cut out because you told me that I should be a certain way. You know what I mean?
I
It's
remember
just so
one
difficult.
time, I was like, right, like the first week
Yeah.
after I got married, okay? And I was struggling. I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. I don't know how to do
Yeah.
I don't know how to work full time and also try and take care of a home full time.
Yeah.
And it was after work, and mom was like, oh, yo, just come through. Like your sister's here, whatever, just come. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'm going to come. And we were living in an apartment building. And then
Yeah.
I asked Farhan, I was like, oh, can I go? He's like, yeah, of course. Like, you don't
Yeah.
need to ask, go, right? So I was driving after work to my mom's house.
Yeah.
And it felt like the longest drive.
Oh,
right. And I
yeah.
was like, wow, I've never experienced this before. Like I'm driving to her house. It's so long. It's like mid traffic. It's hot, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
struggling. Okay. Tell me how I cried.
Oh,
The whole car ride.
Oh
the
my God.
whole car ride. Guys, I was like heaving.
oh my God.
I was crying. I get to my mom's driveway and I was like, there's no way she can know.
oh my God.
There's no way she can know about this meltdown. So the
Yeah.
way that I, okay, wipe those, and I was like, okay, just gotta like whatever. Stepped out, took a couple of deep breaths. I got some like fresh air so that it didn't look like I was bawling
Yeah,
my eyes out.
yeah.
I stepped in like everything was good.
Girl,
Everything
the
was-
way that we have to switch. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I feel like moms know. Moms know.
I know
They just
because the thing, I'm sure maybe she caught something on, but the way that I walked in there being like, she can't know because she's going to think that
Yeah.
something's wrong.
Yeah, she will. She
You know
will.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'd feel guilty.
I feel like it's really, really difficult. And it's like, it's so hard when you're first getting married and when you first get married because that world is like you're living in a different galaxy. Like you don't know how to fit in. You don't even feel comfortable being yourself. As much as we want to be like, be yourself. It's just so hard because you don't know if that version of yourself is acceptable to other people.
That's it.
And like it's just this big struggle and then navigating that takes a long time. It's like finding a new job times 45. Yeah, pretty much. Because
You're
now
also-
you can't leave.
Because you're also trying, you're basically finding a new identity.
You're finding a new identity.
You're trying to find what's going to work for everyone, including yourself.
Yeah.
And you're juggling 3 million relationships at once. Man, it is hard.
Yeah. And you know what's harder? The fact that like it's drilled in you from like your parents and everybody around you, the culture that like you, no matter what, you got to make it work. No matter what. Okay. And like,
Dunya idhar ki udhar ho jana.
because like it's not to say that like you should stay in bad relationships. We're not saying that, but it's just something that a lot of parents are like, well, you're married, so you put in every effort that you can to make it work, right? It's a natural thing, but it's very difficult.
Yeah.
I know it's probably difficult for guys too, but like y'all, you don't understand. You will never get it. You won't get it. I know girls won't get your side, but believe me, this is rough. It's rough.
All right, I got one. You ready?
Go for it.
Not enjoying my childhood as an elder sister because I had to look after my siblings.
This is hard.
This is
Older
guys-
sister, older brother struggles is rough.
wow.
It's rough.
I feel like I just got hit with like a reality that I'd never thought of before.
I don't think we actually think about it because we're middle kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're the Emmy say like
We're the
we're the this
we're the lalus.
we just threw them on in there.
We're the bushras.
Girl, I am a bushra. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm a bushra. Yeah, you know what? We'll never understand that struggle.
But you know what? Because I have younger siblings, I understand the whole idea of having to take care of the younger ones. But I feel like the eldest child, the responsibility that they shoulder
Yeah.
in in an immigrant household is literally unspoken. And they were just expected to do all those things and to carve all these pathways for everyone in that home. And they had to do it. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and I think sometimes they just they have to hold on to that people pleasing role for a really long time. Or sometimes they come to a point where they're just like, I will never be a people pleaser again. And they do a complete like flip. And then it's just like rebellious till the end of time.
100%.
I think it's one of the two.
It is one of the two.
Because if you have been walking the straight and narrow for half your life because you just had to be that responsible, independent, older sibling, that's a heavy burden to carry. I also think sometimes they become the second parent.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, okay, she's old or he's old now and he has younger siblings and he can take care of them. But that's not responsibility should never be placed on a child. It doesn't matter if you are the first or not, because as a parent, you should always have that parent role. Why are you going to do that to your kids? I think that puts a really big pressure on the sibling.
I just feel like immigrant parents were different.
Yeah, of course.
You
They
know,
also
and
had a lot of kids.
They had a lot of kids, and at one point they were just like, okay, I need the help, man, and I don't have anybody here, so you rely on your kids to step up.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
But
like it's different if you're in Pakistan because you're like, you have so much help.
good, and
Family in the end, like you have anybody, you could literally hire like a full-time nanny. Things are more affordable. It's a different kind of community.
It
and
is.
over here, when you're doing everything solo in a world that you don't understand, with a language that you don't speak, yeah, you're gonna look at your kid, smack him up, and be like, "Yo, help me out right now. Hold this baby.
Yeah.
But that diaper."
But it's also because when our parents came to these countries, right, some of their siblings were still back home.
Yeah.
And so they had this huge responsibility to like sponsor their siblings and parents and bring them here.
Yes.
So now when they've done that, right, they just feel like, look at everything I've done for my family, right? So as a child, as an older sibling, it's also your role to uphold those values and be of service for the rest of your family, because if you are not and you choose to go on your own path, then you're being selfish. So that's a different type of guilt you feel too, but that's a guilt that's passed down from our parents too.
Exactly.
I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just for them a lot of the times, like even the fact that like they sponsored their siblings and brought them here.
Yeah.
It was like a way of showing love for them that, look, I want to do this for you because I want you to have a better life. But I don't think that they actually understood the long-term effects of that when you pass it on to your children.
Yeah.
I think the effects of that are very harmful. Because then it's like, you know, you have a child. Sometimes I feel like either you can have a child that is just feels like they had to do everything completely different and their younger siblings got away with everything, which I'm not going to lie. It's true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It is.
I'm sorry. Okay. And then them having to carve certain paths is very difficult because they had to break from a lot of tradition to kind of develop a new identity that their parents are not used to.
Yeah.
That battle is very difficult.
It's so difficult.
Right?
It's a lot of that. Like I said,
a lot
it's
of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. Like being the first to figure out what program you want to get into, being the first to like pick courses, being the first to be like, hey, I want to do an extracurricular, being the first to get your eyebrows done, being the first to like want to go to prom, being the first to getting into a university or deciding to go to college or becoming a tradesperson, like whatever you decided to do, you were being the first to get a cell phone. Okay? Being the first to, I don't know, anything that you did, learning how to cook, washing the dishes, like any skill that you learned, you were the first one to do it. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's a lot.
It's rough.
Right? All right, I got a story. You ready?
Go for it.
Sharing my brown boy guilt. I left India at a young age to move to the US, and then I recently moved to Canada to build a better life for myself and my family. But that meant I had to be away from my parents, who do not want to move with me as they refuse to leave their life back home. I don't blame them, but the guilt weighs on me every day. And when we can't live together and I can't take care of them more than just financially, they have told me multiple times not to worry about it. It's a choice that we have made. I'm blessed and grateful to have such parents. I could not have asked for anything more, but the guilt is real.
That is real.
The guilt is real.
It's also real because like, you know, your parents are getting older.
Yeah.
And naturally, like everyone, it's not a generation thing. I think everyone wants to be supportive of their parents. Right. And like, even if your parents do say like, oh no, we want to stay here, you know, in Urdu, they call it like takalluf, right? Where like as a child, you're like, are they just saying that or do they really mean it?
Yeah.
Because our parents are not I can speak for my own parents and say that like my parents are definitely not the ones that are like, we want to burden you with too much.
Yes.
They're like, we can handle it ourselves, right? But
you know, I know parents say that, but part of you is always going to be like, I know, but you know, I'm living a good life here. Like if they would just come. if they would just come, then I can take care of them.
Yeah.
But they're just like, I don't want to come when there's going to be 40 centimeters of snow. What am I going to do here?
It's also like they're so used to life in where they are, the comfort thing, right? Like if for example, if it's like Pakistan or India or like a South Asian country, they have help there.
Yeah.
They know people there. They have friend circles there.
They've been there for generations.
Yeah. And like even now, our parents will still talk to us, and like my mom will be like, yeah, you know, over there at that time in Pakistan, it was just so easy because like all the friends used to live close to each other. So you could talk to whoever, your family lives so close to each other. It was a very easy going, chill environment.
Yeah.
Over here is like sar kapai stress.
Yeah.
I need to go see a cousin. It's like drive 30 minutes to go see the cousin, you know? And like, so it's the lifestyle is so completely different.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what it
Everything
is? Like, I feel like when you come here and you're younger, it's
Yeah.
a bit easier to adjust. Because you're just kind of like, you're in that hustle mode.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, I came here, I'm going to make a better life for myself.
Yeah.
You can't expect that from parents.
Yeah,
You can't
can't.
expect them to make that kind of a change. They've worked hard their whole life. They don't want to come here and do that.
I also think sometimes it can be detrimental to their health too, because
Yeah.
they might come here and feel really lonely because now they don't
Yeah.
have any friends. They don't know how to, the language, they don't know how things work. So it's just such a different world.
Yeah.
My family often emphasizes that they immigrated here to provide us with a better life, which is something I deeply respect and appreciate. However, this is sometimes used as a justification for imposing strict expectations on us, such as maintaining perfect grades, avoiding certain types of clothing, refraining from socializing with boys, not being allowed to stay overnight at friends' houses, or adhering to strict curfews. At times, it feels like this narrative is used as a tool for instilling guilt, creating a sense of obligation to meet their standards without question. Like the amount of times my mom has used the "is this a house or a hotel" line is crazy. We appreciate the sacrifice, but to be constantly guilted with it is pretty overwhelming.
Okay, first of all, whoever wrote that,
Really well
wow.
written. Really
yes.
well written.
Yes to all of it.
Yes. That's very true. The immigrant struggle is real, guys.
And the dual identity that we face. And then on
It's so
top of that, you're
hard.
feeling so guilty for like maybe wanting to do certain things like a different way because you were born here, but you're trying to be respectful of the kind of, you're trying to be respectful of your parents' wishes.
Yeah.
And the way that they want you to do certain things, but then you're like, okay, but I'm never allowed to go out. Okay, but I'm never allowed to wear this. Oh, but I'm never going to be able to attend prom.
Yeah.
Oh, I can never think about not attending university.
Or I have to marry someone who my mom and dad are approving of.
Yaar, unhone mera rishta pakka kiya. My back home, I can't say no. How am I going to say no?
I also think there was that time when we talked about wearing shalwar kameez to school. So there's a lot of girls that have dealt with that. And it's really difficult because when you move to a Western country, or if you're born in a Western country and your parents are very used to that South Asian style of living.
Yeah.
Back home, they wore shalwar kameez all the time.
Yeah.
That was normal. You go to school in shalwar kameez, you come home, you're wearing shalwar kameez.
Yeah.
And over here, that's not normal. There's not, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. But then when you're younger, your desire is to just fit in. Like you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. You want to feel included. You want to feel like I belong. And I think that's a struggle that a lot of people may not realize exists because they haven't experienced it. But it's a very difficult thing to go through. Like I remember I was even talking to my sister about this recently, and we were both like, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you don't fit in. And then you want to challenge those thoughts, and you want to be able to like have a little bit of leverage to just say, no, you know what, this is the way that I kind of want to do it.
Yeah.
But then the way that your parents guilt you, and they're like, you're losing all of your morals, and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and look at you now, you're like trying to be a gori, and you know what I mean?
हमने तो नहीं ऐसे सिखाया.
Exactly. And like back home, it was such a simpler life, but you guys are getting too invested into this Western culture. But it's really hard because it's like, how do you maintain your cultural identity, but then also have your own personal identity as well? Like, how do you make that work without your parents making you feel like you are not a good person if you let go of what their identity is? So they pretty much want you to be who they think you should be, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
But then at the same time, you'll also feel guilty from the pressure on the other end. Like, for example, if your parents are like, no, you're not allowed to go out to whatever so-and-so's house. But then you're going to feel pressure from your friend being like, you're never there for me.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there being like, okay, so I'm not a good person in my parents' eyes,
Yeah.
but I'm also not a good friend to this person because I'm not allowed to do anything. I'm not allowed to be there for the people that I want to be there for.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah, it's really tough. I also think people don't understand.
No.
Right? Like sometimes there's friends of yours that might be dissy, but their parents might allow them to do certain things.
Yeah.
And then you're having to sit there and explain to your friends that, like, hey, it doesn't work that way. And when you're older, you're a lot more understanding because you can see that, okay, there's different dynamics everywhere. But when you're younger, there's a lot of judgment sometimes that happens that, like, oh my God, what's wrong with your parents? Why are they like this? Or why are they like that?
You're just coming to my house.
Yeah. And I think for our parents, it was just this fear that they're scared that if they give you too much leeway to do what you want, then you will lose your culture and where you're from and your traditions. And so it was this fear, and they would keep you really tightly, like they would just keep you very close to everything, right? They would have a very, very like strong hold on you over certain decisions that you made.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, I got a story.
Yeah.
You guys ready? A few years ago, when I was in the military and not married, I'm married to the same girl now. My wife told her parents she was going on a girls' trip to my city. Since they had her location, she couldn't lie about where she was going. She came over for a few days and everything was perfect. We went on late night walks, grabbed Tim's, had dinner dates, and just enjoyed our time together. Then, on the day she was supposed to leave, my parents unexpectedly showed up at my place in the evening as a surprise. The moment they arrived, my wife and I started panicking, trying to figure out what to do. She quickly hid all her stuff under the bed along with herself. My parents came in and everything seemed fine at first. Then my mom casually said, "Oh wow, beta, your apartment smells so nice." I smiled and I said, "Jazakallah, mama."
Oh my God.
Knowing full well it was my wife's perfume. Meanwhile, my sister was walking around looking around. She first points out my wife's heels. I had no comeback for this, but she let it slide. And then suddenly she yells, "Bhai, who's this?" Anyways, from that moment on, it was like a snowball rolling downhill. I was so dead. My mom heard the commotion, came to see what was going on, and we had a conversation. Surprisingly, she wasn't as mad as me as I thought she would be, but the guilt I felt after was crazy.
So the sister found the girl.
Sister found the girl.
Oh, Lord.
And then there was a lot of commotion, and then his mom walked in and was like, "Ye kya harkatein ho rahi hai?
Oh.
Ye kya ho raha hai idhar?"
Beads of sweat dripping down my forehead.
Remember we had a scenario about
Yes. The closet with the laundry basket.
the closet. With
This
the
was
laundry-
you can take my shoe. This is the Cinderella's glass slipper.
Yo,
like,
but she was
this is the
hiding
other
under the
one.
bed.
What was the sister doing looking under the bed?
Yo, the sister's being a nosy.
She's being a creepy girl.
She being a nosy little one because she's like, yo, if there's shoes here, that means there's somebody.
Yo, the way I would pretend to be dead under that bed, okay?
Okay, Hina, that's you. We're gonna scenario right now. Okay? You know you're gonna marry this person.
All right.
Okay? And let's say the parents also know, like the baat chal rahi hai, baat, okay? But obviously you're like, yo,
I
I'm
would
gonna-
never hide under the bed then. Girl, why
But
would
you did. Out of sheer panic, you didn't know
my
his,
God.
you didn't know his family was coming. You didn't know his family was coming. Okay. And then they showed up last minute. He's panicking too. Now you're looking at him like, oh my God, he's panicking. That means I have to be panicking. Okay. There's no sane person in this room right now. You roll on under the bed. Okay. All your stuff is under the bed. You forgot your heels at the front. So what are you doing? The sister finds you.
I would
Yo,
be
the
like-
sister creeps down like this.
I would probably kick her in the face. I'm joking. I would not kick her in the face because she's gonna be my future sister-in-law.
Yo, if I saw her, I'd be like,
Imagine you grab her by the neck and you're like, shut the hell up. Say nothing. You say something, I'm gonna cut you. Imagine you say something like that. Okay, real talk.
yo, the Rex still's
Real
gonna come
talk.
out.
Real talk. I would just say that I was cleaning under the bed. That beautiful smell, it was because I was doing all the cleaning.
Yo.
What else could I say?
I would literally look at the sister and be like, oh, if you want the heels, don't say anything.
No, I would come out and I would just be like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. I got so scared. I would just say it.
Yeah.
Because then I would hope that the sister-in-law is not like a snitchy snitch.
Ew, just
obviously
slide-
she was. She's like,
slide
oh
her-
my God. Like that would
you
make
just
me
be like, shh, and you slide 100.
like slide her 20.
Slide her 20. Girl, it's gotta be 100. Are you kidding me?
200.
Maybe 1,000. I don't do something and slide the
Imagine
shoes.
you
You do
slide-
all of it together.
Imagine you slide the 100 and she's still like, nah. She takes the 100 and she still says something.
Come on, sister-in-law. Let's be friends.
Oh my God. Imagine the sister-in-law sits on the bed, gets comfy, and calls up her boyfriend that no one knew about.
It's
You're
okay. You
good.
got it. It's okay. You
At
got
that
it.
point, you're walking up right out of the bed like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey.
And you do one of these. You do one of these with the sister-in-law.
Oh,
That's
shoot,
what I would
that's
do.
so funny.
That's hilarious.
That's a scenario. Oh
okay,
my
balls in
God.
my heart's beating like hidden, hiding under the bed. I mean, I know you're married now. It's all jokes, but yo, real talk.
Scurry. That's scurry. Immigrant parents in general, and when they aren't meant for marriage together, but they still stay because of you. That sucks. They probably stay because of the guilt, for sure.
They'll stay no matter what because it's not in them to leave.
Yeah. That's true. That's
you guys,
very
literally,
true.
when I say it's drilled in
Yeah.
them that no matter what, do or die, you make this work. And all behavior at a certain point, at a certain level of generation, all behavior was acceptable.
Yeah, that's true.
And all women had to tolerate
That's
it.
actually true. If you ever go on like Reddit forums sometimes and you read about some people's, actually, what am I saying? Reddit forums, even if you read our DMs,
Yeah.
sometimes you read these stories and you're just like, this is so heartbreaking that
Yeah,
they're
go
in
ahead.
that people are in such difficult situations. And like, it also depends on the person because, you know, we can sit here and be like, just leave, you know, we can say that. But then at times when you read some stories, you're just like, it's not always that easy for people.
But also, I can't even imagine a world where you could have a conversation with your parents being like, Mom, why did you stay? Yeah. Do you know how hard that conversation is for a child to have with their mom?
It's really hard.
Literally,
Yeah.
your moms might look at you because if it's a typical immigrant
Yeah.
family scenario, it means your mom was not working.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are gonna look at your mom and be like, how come like you didn't leave? You know, you didn't have to stay. We could have done something. And your mom might look at you being like, do you even know? Do you even know the struggle, the stuff that I've been through?
Yeah.
I can't just get up and walk away and go where?
And go where?
Who is gonna support me? You know, it's like for right now, we're getting to an age having better communication and having conversations with parents where it's like, okay, if you're in a tough situation and you decide to leave, one way or another, you're hoping your parents can have your back.
Yeah.
Or you can convince them otherwise. Okay. Or you have a network of people in the society that you're living in that will have your back.
Yeah.
Whether it's a friend, a sibling, a cousin, someone.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't have that. So now your mom's gonna be like, okay, and how do you expect me to pay rent? I've never worked a day in my life.
Or like,
who's
I
gonna
can't
hire
even-
me?
Yeah.
How am I gonna manage your school, your drop-offs, go to work? Who's gonna let me come into work after 9 and leave at 2 so that I can pick you up?
But it's also the language barrier, guys.
Yeah.
And learning, you know, like so like right now, I have to say it's definitely easier. Okay. Because our generation, even I would say like if we're in our 30s, even the girls that are in their 40s, right? And 50s or whatever, right? I actually know the 50s generation is still considered the next generation, the generation before us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say our generation I think is different because a lot of us have been born and raised in a country like this. So we have resumes, you know, we've worked somewhere. Okay, we know how to drive.
Yeah. Part-time
Right?
job here and there.
Yeah, and we have like a family, extended family, friendships. We go out of our way to have a social circle. A lot of our mothers had a very difficult time building social circles because again, it was not that easy when you know nobody.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that easy to put yourself out there when you don't know how to drive, you don't speak the language, and many of us do. So the generation is very different. And that's really difficult because some relationships, some people's relationships that they've seen from their parents have been very, very unhealthy, where there might have been abuse or there might have been, you know, verbal abuse, emotional manipulation, and your kids grow up seeing this stuff. And now you're sitting there like, why the hell are you staying with such an angry man? Like, this man is horrible to you and you're just staying, and now this is passed down to us. But they also don't understand that, like, what is that person supposed to do? There's also women that might have even tried and left. They might have tried and left and seen how hard it was, and then just been like, I can't do this alone. I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? How am I going to manage this?
Who am I going to lean on?
Yeah, the welfare checks are not helping me.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's such a tough situation because I just feel like, and then you know what makes me sad is sometimes instead of our generation being a bit forgiving,
Yeah.
we end up blaming the parents like, oh, you should have just left. Why did you stay for us?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I understand that too, because, you know, we've said a couple of times here, like you don't get accolades for staying.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you don't, you need to also be understanding of that situation and that time because it was way too hard for them to find any sort of work, for them to land on their feet, for them to figure something out, being in a country where they weren't really accepted
Yeah.
and had absolutely zero support.
Yeah. That's
And you know what I realized? I feel like that generation, this is why they also have a lot of toxic friends.
Yeah.
Because they can't let go of a lot of the friendships they have because that's all they have.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, that's where we encounter the toxic aunties.
Oh my.
And you're just sitting there like,
God.
why are you so friends with this person? And then
Yeah.
you realize this is all you have. You're not going to let that go, regardless of how detrimental it is to your well-being.
But you know, I have to say the good part about that is that even though our parents may have a hard time letting go of certain things, if they have children that are a lot more like, do you not see what's happening?
Yeah.
I just think for our parents, it takes a lot for them to be able to like be like, absolutely no, I will not tolerate. You know what I mean? They're very forgiving, I would say at times. It depends on the parents too. But I think if as children we can constantly be like, this is wrong, do you not see this? This is wrong, this is wrong. Do you want somebody to treat your daughter like that? Do you want somebody to treat your son like that? If you're constantly saying it, eventually I think it does sink into their mind that like, yeah, this is actually not a smart thing to do. But I think for them it just takes longer.
It
to
does.
understand that.
No, it
Whereas
does.
with us it's different.
I got one. Ready?
Yeah.
Eating when it's that time of the month during Ramadan and everybody else is fasting. Why is this so awkward?
Because
That's a
you're
real-
never allowed to talk about stuff.
That's a real brown girl guilt.
Yeah.
You're never allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, you just don't talk about that stuff because it's just like it's
But you
such a
feel
taboo.
bad.
You do feel bad, of course, you know?
In some sofa pe lete hue, they're like struggling.
Yeah, you're
Nobody
munching
can
on your
move.
Ruffles all dressed
Yeah.
chips.
No, then you go into the kitchen quietly and you're like, I guess I'll just eat here in
Yeah.
private, in secret. You
I
feel
think
so
that's more when you're like younger.
Yeah.
As an adult, je ne care pas. It is what it is.
guilty.
Je ne care pas. But like as when you're younger, it's just something that like a lot of our moms would be like, listen, nobody should know that it's that time of the month. Okay. And someone actually sent something like that into us where they said, it was something that I was never allowed to talk about. But in my family was very liberal, where I could talk about it. So at one time, my brother-in-law had asked, oh, why are you not praying? Because if you're Muslim, you're not supposed to pray during that time, right? And she's like, because it was such an open conversation in our family,
Yeah.
I just said, bro, it's that time of the month. And then my mother-in-law, supposedly, this is what this girl's saying. She said, my mother-in-law later on was like, we don't talk about this stuff. Like, why would you say it in front of him like that? And she's like, what she said into us was, she's like, I'm like 26 or 27.
Yeah.
He's a grown ass man. Like, we can have the conversation. You know what I mean?
Also, if he's married, he knows.
He wasn't married,
Oh, okay.
but he was still like in his like late 20s.
Yeah, come on, man.
And I think the harm that it does if
Yeah.
you don't talk about, I understand the aspect where people are like,
थोड़ी सी शर्म होती है.
थोड़ा सा hijab होता है, right?
हाँ.
I get that, but I think it's not healthy because you know what? If they don't know, then they will never understand a woman's struggle.
Yeah.
And they'll never be able to be those types of men and husband that can be there for their wives during that time.
Yeah, who can care for their wives?
Exactly. Like if you keep all these things hidden from them,
Yeah.
they're never going to understand the pain that you go through, how much it sucks, okay? How much you just want to be an emotional hot mess at that time.
And they don't have that, they might lack empathy.
Yes.
When it's that time of month, because they'll just be like, oh, well, my mom powered through or my sister powered through. They never showed anything. They never like were so hungry because they couldn't fast during that time of the month. And you're like, yeah, they were. They just hid it from you.
Yeah. I don't think that that's healthy to hide things.
I just feel like, you know, you don't need to be like a besharam about it
Explicit,
when
yeah.
you're talking about it.
You don't need to
but you
go
can
that
just be
far.
like, hey, be respectful during that, you know, time because it's a hard time, man. We go through it every month. Every month.
And it's like, it's not just the pain that you feel. It's like the emotional toll it takes on your health. Like you're a week before, you're sitting there crying for no damn reason.
Yeah.
It's just gloomy outside. You're crying.
Yeah.
You didn't get the Wingstop? Crying.
You saw the raccoon family? You're
Crying. Okay. Roadkill. Crying. Normally you're driving right over the roadkill.
And also you're like timing your bathroom breaks and like, I don't know, it's just a hot mess, man.
Hot mess express.
Give us a break.
Give us a damn break.
God, if in Islam we are allowed to break, then why are you being judgy?
Yeah, and also, I mean, work people need to give us a week off too. Just gonna throw that out there.
On that note, y'all.
On that note, guys, this was our episode for today. Make sure you guys are following us on all of our social channels right here. Guys, get us to 25K, please.
Let's go.
Please, we're asking you to help us. Share our stuff with your friends, your family, let everyone know. And also remember that we have an extra episode every Monday at 7 a.m. on Patreon. We're actually going to be doing some fun things on Patreon. Like we're going to be releasing some cool stuff very soon. So make sure you guys keep your eye out for that. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Okay, Mom.